Imagine this. You wake up in medieval Europe, and a blizzard is rolling in. No central heating, no stocked pantry, no phone to call for help. Or picture yourself on a caravan route across a blazing desert. The sun is cooking the earth, your water is nearly gone, and shade is miles away. For our ancestors, this wasn't a nightmare scenario. It was Tuesday, and somehow they survived. Today, we're uncovering 8 ingenious shelter hacks from the Middle Ages that kept people alive through blizzards, droughts, floods, and even enemy raids. These weren't just makeshift huts. They were clever, sustainable solutions that used science long before we called it science. And here's the kicker. Many of these ideas are still used by survival experts today. Winter was one of the deadliest killers of the medieval world, but people fought back with creativity. Nomadic groups in northern regions learned to use snow itself as a shield. Snow shelters, the ancestors of the igloo, were carved from drifts and compacted blocks. Inside, the temperature could be dramatically warmer than outside, trapping body heat and fire warmth in a small insulated dome. More permanent solutions came in the form of turf houses, homes half buried in the ground, walls built of sod and earth. The soil acted like a thick blanket, keeping heat in and wind out. Archaeologists have uncovered turf homes in Iceland and the Scottish Highlands that remained usable for generations. And for mobility, animal hide and felt tents, like those used by nomadic steppe cultures, were warm, portable, and surprisingly sturdy. Thick hides blocked wind and snow, and felted wool added an insulating layer that could keep interiors habitable even in freezing weather. Not every danger came from the cold. Some came from relentless heat. In hot, arid regions, builders turned to adobe, sun-dried mud bricks that stayed cool by day and released heat by night. Thick adobe walls acted like thermal batteries, keeping interiors much cooler than the desert outside. Medieval builders also understood airflow. Wind catchers, tall, open-topped structures, funneled breezes into homes, creating natural air conditioning. Combined with shaded courtyards and whitewashed walls to reflect sunlight, these designs kept desert settlements livable. These weren't just rustic huts. They were climate-responsive architecture, perfected centuries before modern systems. For villages near rivers and marshes, floods weren't a surprise. They were inevitable. To survive, people built stilt houses and raised platforms that kept floors above flood levels. In Southeast Asia and parts of medieval Europe, entire communities stood on wooden pilings, with ladders or ramps that could be pulled up in case of rising water or enemy approach. These homes doubled as security measures, harder for raiders to reach and easier to defend from a single point of entry. Some fishing communities even built floating homes tethered to posts, early versions of amphibious architecture that rose and fell with the water. When threats came from human enemies, hiding could be better than fighting. Camouflaged cave dwellings provided natural walls, roofs, and concealment. In some regions, entire monasteries were carved into cliffs, invisible from a distance but nearly impregnable. Others went underground. Sunken homes or pit houses were dug several feet below ground level, with only a thatched roof showing. This kept temperatures stable and reduced visibility from raiders. And when quick shelter was needed, wattle and daub construction, weaving flexible branches and covering them with clay, allowed families to throw up a secure hut in days, sometimes hours. A campfire wasn't just for warmth. In medieval survival, controlled fire was a protective wall. Fires were often placed at key points around encampments to deter predators and light up approaching threats. Smoke helped keep insects away. Even the placement of fire pits inside huts was strategic, with vents designed to draw out smoke without losing too much heat. Some nomadic groups even heated stones or clay tiles in the fire and brought them inside sleeping areas. Radiators before radiators existed. Shelter wasn't just physical, it was social. Medieval survival depended on cooperation. Neighbors helped build one another's homes, thatched one another's roofs, and rebuilt after storms or fires. Entire villages gathered to maintain dikes, cut sod, or reinforce palisades before winter. Shared knowledge meant survival. Which trees made the best posts? Which mud mixtures lasted longest? Which roof pitch shed snow fastest? A single family might not withstand disaster. A united village could. These hacks might sound ancient, but they still matter. They teach us to use what's around us: snow for insulation, mud for cooling, earth for protection. They remind us that design matters. Airflow, placement, and orientation can mean the difference between comfort and misery. And they show that resilience is collective. Survival works best when people work together. In an age where we depend on electricity, shipping trucks, and supply chains, these medieval hacks are a blueprint for independence. They prove that survival isn't about panic. It's about preparation. So there you have it, 8 medieval shelter hacks that kept ordinary people alive through snowstorms, heat waves, floods, and invasions. Which one blew your mind? Snow shelters, wind catchers, or camouflaged cave homes? Tell me in the comments. And if you loved learning about the clever side of medieval life, hit like, share this video with someone who thinks they'd survive without Wi-Fi, and subscribe for more forgotten survival wisdom from history. Because the past still has a lot to teach us, and the next storm could come anytime.